Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the global Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
ANC National Chair and Minister of Mineral Resources, Gwede Mantashe, accuses DA matriarch of trying to usurp Ramaphosa's authority over her party's ministers. Hello, my name is Reneilwe Morema, and I am your host right here on the African Diaspora News channel, reporting live from Johannesburg, South Africa. ANC National Chair Gwede Mantashe has warned DA federal leader Helen Zille against acting like a parallel president, calling her behavior the biggest threat to the survival of the national government of unity. Mantashe, who is also Mineral Resources Minister in the Government of National Unity, made his remarks in an interview at his offices in Cape Town on the day President Cyril Ramaphosa addressed a joint sitting parliament in which he outlined the work ahead for the GNU. Ramaphosa said parties in the GNU had agreed to a statement of intent to come together despite their differences because they share a commitment to a nation that is united, prosperous and inclusive. Mantashe said the GNU parties are moving closer to each other but accused Zille of wanting the DA ministers to regard her as the boss. This, he said, could precipitate the collapse of the power-sharing deal. Mantashe said his criticism is based on the interviews and the statements Helen Zille has been making in the media lately. Officials in his office said he was referring to Zille's public statements on social media and news interviews, particularly the interview Zille gave on Newsroom Africa, in which she said the president does not control all ministries and that all ministries have relative autonomy to run their departments. Zille said she was doing a comparison with her parents' birth country, Germany, on how they facilitate coalition government.
We have a parallel president called Helen Zille outside, who want the ministers to account to her. She is going to collapse if she continues. We are not going to have a parallel government run by Helen Zille. There's one president here, and that president is Cyril Ramaphosa, and that's it. And I think ministers in the government understand that. External interference must be corrected.
Zille forgets that she is in South Africa. Why would this country take advice or use methods the German government use in their coalition government? Why would South Africa, with the history of apartheid and the ongoing political tension, want to take a page from a country that threw people in concentration camps and tortured them to death? What gave her that mindset? What gave her that impression that we want to follow in Hitler's country's footsteps? Mantashe further said that he is worried Zille might collapse the government of national unity because every time he opens social media, he sees a parallel president called Helen Zille of the DA who wants DA ministers to report to her. And he is not going to allow a parallel government ran by Zille to continue on this rampant behavior. There is one president here, and that is Cyril Ramaphosa, and any external interferences must be corrected, he continued to say. I think Mantashe is speaking about the statement Zille made on the eve of the appointment of the new cabinet of the Government of National Unity, where she maintained that the Government of National Unity statement of intent laid out how the president should distribute portfolios. This comes after the presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya said that there was no constitutional provision that says that the president should allocate ministers proportionally, which triggered that Helen Zille statement in response. We can already see the cracks within the Government of National Unity that will contribute to the collapse of this government formation. I mean, we have ministers from different parties. Obviously, they would want to implement policies from their parties in their ministries. How are we going to prevent that from happening? I know that there is the Government of National Unity Statement of Intent that would be enforced by the Policy Coordination and Advisory Services headed by the Minister of Monitoring and Evaluation in the Presidency, Marupini Ramakgopa, who was given additional power by the President to keep the ministers in check. But how will she micromanage these vigilante ministers who will try to overstep the Government of National Unity Statement of Intent and enforce their party's policies in their ministries? How will Marupini be able to overcome that? Because already we see Hellen Zille wants the DA ministers to report to her. Already she is exposing the ANC's years of corruption in her allocated ministries, gaining her the favor of the public, making her party more appealing to the masses, so that in the next 5 years, the DA's numbers would increase and she would have the power to get out of this hellhole called the Government of National Unity. And the DA would go back to being an independent party. Yes, it is a Government of National Unity, but every party for itself, if we're being honest. The GNU is just an audition phase for these parties to appeal to the masses. Once we as the citizen see the performance of each party individually within the GNU, then we would have a clearer understanding on who to vote for in 5 years. Already, Ministers of Public Work and Infrastructure Dean McPherson of the DA has revealed his department would not be renovating any of the houses or offices of the ministers and members of parliament as part of his strategy to reduce costs. He also mentioned that the ANC's ministers have bought buildings in Johannesburg CBD for their offices, but those buildings are now abandoned. They have moved to the upmarket suburbs of Sandton, which cost millions to buy and millions to renovate. What happens to those empty abandoned buildings in Johannesburg CBD? Well, they harbor criminal fugitives and foreigners dealing illicit substances. Foreigners hijack these buildings and rent them out. Some time ago, a hijacked building in Johannesburg caught fire and foreign people died, which costed our government money to ID these victims and transport them back to their birth country, all thanks to the ANC buying these buildings and abandoning them, wasting the state's resources. So Dean McPherson of the DA says his department will no more pump money into buying buildings for members of parliament and ministers and renovating any offices. We are fine the way we are. So already you can see that the DA is auditioning to look nicer, to appeal to the masses of South Africa, to make their party look like they're doing the work, to make their party look like they are working hard, so that in the next 5 years, when the next election phase comes along, we, the people, can say, okay, the DA has been working in this Government of National Unity. They've been working hard, so we, the citizens, are going to vote for them. So the GNU, guys, is just an audition phase for each party to audition to us, to appeal to us, so that we can vote for them in the next 5 years. So that's why they are working hard over time in the background to expose the ANC's corruption throughout their 30-year rule. They are exposing the ANC in any sphere, any department they are holding. They will expose them. The Patriotic Alliance Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture is already exposing the ANC's corruption in funding artists and other people unlawfully, giving them COVID funds meant to support struggling artists. Already Dean McPherson of the DA is saying, hey, the ANC has been renovating buildings with your tax money while they buy buildings in Johannesburg just to abandon them and go to the upscale markets of Sandton and buy these charismatic offices with your state money. Already they're exposing, already the correctional Minister Peter Groenewald of the FF Plus is exposing how the prisons in South Africa under the ANC were not functioning. The prisons were turned into a nice time vacation for criminals. That's why people don't have fear to commit crimes, because they know where they're going, they will be treated well. Free meals, free Wi-Fi, access to technology, and the works. We will talk about that in my next segment. What do you think about this segment. Comment to us in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share the broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss these groundbreaking conversations right here on the African Diaspora News channel.